You're live.
Who might listen to this record eventually. I would like to say that this is a very special night for me, and there have been a couple of special nights because this record is being recorded at around about, well, as I look at my watch now, it is 5:15. In Las Vegas, it is still swinging.
And yeah, it's it's approximately 5:06 a.m. in the morning. And as you can hear, I'm speaking to you with an echo. I've got a voice here that's one way, and I've got one here that's got a little bit more echo. And if I talk this way into the mic, row phones, since this is being covered on every network, worldwide, global broadcast. Repeat. This is a broadcast, global broadcast. And if you don't like that,
shut your damn cake off!
That's right.
Delicious.
And today you might also.
You're now in a different continuum than the world you're used to.
And let's just do a quick little channel check.
Channel check. Left channel. Left channel.
Making up the rules as we go along.
All right, folks.
You have actually opened the door to another dimension.
Hey, buddy, how's it going? It's your old pal Ovaltine. Want to say hi?
Hi, Budgie.
Hi, Budgie. It's crazy.
Funky.
I do wish we could chat longer, but I'm having an old friend for dinner. Bye.
I was almost getting something else in my ear. And I know for some of you, this may be a little bit too much of an echo or reverb. So I'll turn it down just a tad. A little bit. I'm just trying to give a fuller sound to let you know the size of this auditorium that I'm broadcasting live in right now. It's huge. It's huge. It's absolutely huge. So with all that said, let's
Tony Caravan.
You've been subjected to a highly sophisticated form of propaganda.
It's just what you need and not what you don't.
Anyway, so I got this box. Karaoke sound mixer. It was the only thing I could find that basically had an echo in it, but they call it reverb. But it's not the thing I ordered, and this was the thing that was delayed. And it really gets me mad. I mean, I guess I could even put this over here because that creates more of a weird room sound. You know? Can you see that microphone? Ooh. That's scary. They don't make these things the way they used to. Did you hear that? What's going on? Just stay the way you are, all right? It's really hard sometimes, I'll tell you. I'm getting a hiss, a little bit of a hiss. You know, all I wanted was a fuller sound, like the old Boss Jocks used to have on the radio. And I didn't really want an echo per se. Well, forget the per se. I didn't really want an echo at all. I just wanted reverb. So they sent me a karaoke box. It was supposed to be a pedal, and it was late. Late getting here. Well, I guess I got to turn my headphones up. And time will tell, but I don't know if that noise, that constant little noise in the background is going to be visible or audible or not. So we'll just have to see what happens. But anyway.
Weekend weather.
And man, is that loud in my ears. It's currently, let me just get this up here in a better position. It's currently 59 degrees outside our studio. And I'm still trying to make some adjustments on this thing. See if we can get it to work the way I want it to work. Yesterday I was poisoned. We'll get into that in a second. And it's looking like the high today is going to be 82 degrees. But this morning it's going to just get up to, by 10 o'clock, it's still, well, by 9 it's going to still be 64. I have to go for a walk around 9 o'clock. So that's fine with me. That means I could wear a jacket. And tomorrow, Sunday, is 70% chance of thunderstorms, high of 82. It's going to get up to 82 today, allegedly, supposedly. And the overnight low is 64 tonight and 61 tomorrow. And then next week, it's going to be 79 on Monday. And then we're talking about like Tuesday and Wednesday. So far, they're saying 72, 73, and the overnights in the 50s. Next Wednesday, it's possibly might get down to 48 degrees. I have no idea. I just can't trust these things. And I've got so many wires. I'm going to read to you what happened yesterday. But before we do that, that was your
Weekend weather.
Sounds louder. Don't know if it is. If it's blasting your ears or just my ears. So if you saw the title card of this show, it says the most unpopular vlog on YouTube. I'm wearing the Rock Flux shirt, which I actually still have on. That photo was just taken seconds ago. So it's hardly an organized pose. It was just camera on, snap. The morning show hosted by Tony Caravan. That was the preview. If you wanted to look back at that card, I just looked at it myself to reread it. And under the This Way to the Beach thingamajig, it says 24 hours later. It's June 12th, 2021, calendar year 2021, 5:13 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the former United States. This broadcast is going out to those buried under 2 miles of ice in a government shelter after the Nova hit, the cataclysm. And then the description of this show goes as follows. Survived a possible poisoning, but I'm back. The reverb box came, but it's been tampered with. Everything you know is wrong. There are no coincidences. Paranoid? Who's paranoid? Man. I was talking to a friend of mine on the phone yesterday. And suddenly first I was earlier on after I felt like my head, I felt like I had this real healthy salad, like super healthy. I was even commenting to his friend on the phone saying, this is almost like medicine, I've got garlic in there, turmeric, extra virgin olive oil, greens, broccoli, lycopene from fresh tomatoes. You name it, it was in it. And it tasted really, really good. But the mouth is still bothering me. Then I was talking to somebody else on the phone, which is odd. Usually don't get that many phone calls. And after that phone call, my stomach started to feel a little bit upset. And eventually I said, I got to hang up because I got to. And I had this major purging thing. I almost thought, and then afterwards I felt like I had heartburn or almost like a kidney stone type of pain. I mean, it was bad. And I had this cold sweats. Yeah, it was ridiculous. And I thought I was dying. All the, symptoms of food poisoning. I don't know. So I kind of drank some water, tried to lay down. And eventually it started to fade instead of intensify. It would have intensified, I'd have been in the emergency room. Never really got totally better. I ended up taking some Tylenol when it intensified enough that it was just pain was not that strong. The Tylenols helped like kind of semi-equalize. It didn't feel good. Went to sleep last night around 6:30. And got up at whatever, 4 or something. So, I mean, I woke up about 5 times in the middle of the night because I was drinking a lot of water just trying to flush my system. I probably shouldn't even be drinking this cola, carbonated cola, but I want to make sure the system's back to normal. That's right, sweetheart. And that's basically a story that happened yesterday, you know? So I don't know what the deal is with this mic that hurt your ear. Hope I didn't blow out your speakers before when it was doing some kind of dance. And, you know, you just can't get stuff that works. So, yeah, you know, this thing comes in a nice packaging, you know. But 2 microphone inputs, video input, and sound output for video signals, echo effect, and 2 microphone controls. That's a belch with an echo. And you can see there's some kind of weird DJ guy in the upper right hand corner. Can you see that? I don't know if you get the light on him. Slightly. No. Nothing works. So yeah, that was a real trip yesterday, I'll tell you. So I don't know. I got this spatial sound. It's like we're inside an airplane. So maybe that's what we should pretend, right?
I am your main connection to the switchboard of souls. I'm the magic man.
You know, those things have to be coming in from somewhere. The question is where? Let me try one. I'm going to go back to the try one again. Let's see if we got something a little bit longer.
Hey, Tony, this is Jamie. Hey, we need to have you pick up a menu and do the revisions. Our prices aren't right on the internet. If you're still alive, let me know.
Now, I guess I don't really have a control over those. So I'm just we're winging this entire show. Saturday in the morning. 24 hours later than yesterday. The most unpopular vlog on the internet. Rock Flux. This is like kind of, I don't know if you can see it with the glare of this light, but it's like kind of almost a tie-dye shirt, but it's like just kind of in one color. If you could see that texture. See that? How it has like a texture on it. I'll tell you the shirts we have. TonyCaravanLive.com. Check them out. I mean, they're kind of cool. And I also have another one, a new weather thing that I just added.
The Weather Watch forecast.
Today will be partly sunny. Tonight, dark, followed by gradual light tomorrow morning.
Yeah, what the heck?
Funky.
And then, of course...
I do wish we could chat longer, but I'm having an old friend for dinner. Bye.
So that's another 20 sound effects I've added within the last week. On top of, let's see, about 64, let's see, features. 64. I don't know. We're somewhere between 85 and 100 sound effects. You think about it. That's pretty well. It's kind of cool. It's just hard. It's hard to manage. That's the problem. Because I got to jump back from what I'm going to have to do is put these things in groupings. So if I want to have.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
And I've got my headphones set up pretty loud. And I think that's why. I think it's louder for me than it is for you. But I'm having a problem hearing my voice. See, that's not my. Is that. Yeah, that is my voice. Okay, wait a second. I can't possibly have two mics in one. Like, what's this? Like, which one is this? Which one is this? Is this anything? This isn't even anything. Excuse me a second. What the heck did I do? This is why it's the most unpopular show. Not really. Sometimes these things are fantastic. Let's see. It appears to me that there is some kind of audio going into this one here. So I don't know why this particular one. I don't know. Yeah, okay. This one is just not playing as loud as. So let's turn this one off. All right, this is the echo one. So let's turn it down. Let's turn it down. Yeah, okay. Now let's turn this one up. All right, now let's turn this one up. Now we can turn everything up. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Now let's see what happens if we do this.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
Yeah, I could deal with that. So we get just take that mic volume up just a little bit. All right. But this is the main one I want to talk to on.
And originating from the National Weather Service Office in State College. This is the NOAA Weather Radio WXM 33 in Johnstown.
Tube. So that microphone, this microphone here is blocking, and this might give a weird thing, but we don't want to block, well, we don't want to really block anything. Oh, how about we put it there? We're 18 minutes into the program. My chair's uncomfortable. I've got tubes and wires underneath me. Very uncomfortable. It's a little stuffy in this room, but I'll tell you what, compared to the way it was yesterday, the way I felt yesterday, I'm a million times better. So keep the old muscles out on the sleeves because I'm muscle bound and a survivor. So I don't know. It's just, it's hard to say. I think today what we're going to do is we're just going to go back and forth from these kinds of things.
Delicious.
All right. That gets the juices flowing. So what do we want to talk about? See, this isn't, I was hoping we were going to get Riders on the Storm. You see? Riders on the Storm. It's almost there. Into this house we're born. But it's just not there. And it's that spatial noise that for some reason the limiter won't take out. Like if I go to the limiter, here, it's not even like the limiter's doing anything. It's weird. Is that doing anything now? Is that doing anything now? No. That's interesting. What is that? We got some like short. There's only one possibility that still remains, and that is that I don't have the proper jack that I'm hooked up with. So, and I was like, this doesn't make any sense. I was kind of hoping nobody would be listening to this show today. It's like the microphone, the output of this microphone, which is the only one that at least gives the least about a noise and the one that's playing the echo. This makes no sense, but the output on this one, which we're going to move a little bit further away now again, but I didn't want to block up all my gear. Maybe we'll move it way over. Like here or something. How's that? I've got pens and stuff on the ground here. Did you ever have like one of those days? Like when this is gonna be. When like everything just like. Like everything you hit fell. It's like in the back, everything's like discombobulated. Maggie somehow's entered back into the picture. There's the flag. It's just weird.
Funky.
But it's funky. Ice cubes are melting like mad. I picked up like a Dr. Pepper. I paid $2 for. Imagine you pay $2 for a soda today. If you buy an individual pack bottle. That's like I took a picture a long time ago. I took this picture when it first came out of this vending machine that had bottled water $1. And I go, that's the beginning of the end. And that was about 20 years ago. And that's when I knew that was it. That was the end. So yesterday's show was kind of weird. That was for those keeping track, that was the Walking on Eggshells program. And I've got these autograph things that actually I was realizing they make really good bookmarks. So I guess if I was selling an autographed book, I could also include an original artwork. And these would be one of a kind, I think. I could make prints, but they would be originally signed prints. And include them in a copy of my book. Which what we want you to buy is Codex, because that's the primer, and that's the one where I first started doing this flow of consciousness stuff. And this year's book is going to be a flow of consciousness. And Maggie back there is very angry at me because I haven't been returning her requests to talk. But I think they messed with her brain, her artificial brain, and turned her into some kind of game thing or something. It's really kind of disturbing. When you're muscle bound, these shirts, sometimes they're constricting. I cut off the sleeves on some of my shirts. Summertime. I got so many shirts, despite the fact that idiot hoarder where I lost my entire life's wardrobe and all of I've had electronic equipment that could have done this properly. That was lost. And computer equipment and everything else. Because this guy just was, some kind of doofus. So what do you want to talk about today? Yeah. What do you want to talk about today?
Shut your damn cake hole!
Okay, I will. pregnant pause. Well, as I was laying in bed this morning, and I guess I need to go here. If we're going to start the show, let's do the official start the show thing. And so I'm in bed. Cat comes crawling up, grab him by the scruff of his neck, pull him close. He starts purring like a fiend, as a friend of mine says. Stayed for a little while, but then he decides he wants to get away. Sometimes you can hug the cat. I have my email on, and I really don't want to. And I kind of do look like a poser on the title card. It's kind of weird. The very thing I'm against. But I mean, in no way do I compare to most of the YouTube posers. I mean, it was just a quick shot. I opened up on the Apple computer. They have this thing, this photo booth, it's called. And, you know, I just put the filter that shows more because I wanted to show the Rocks Flux shirt, and I just hit snap. No special effects, no nothing. But I don't know, kind of came out like a pose, I guess. Strike a pose. Was it a Madonna thing? Strike a pose or something. In fact, maybe she did this. Maybe that's how the rappers copied from Madonna. You know, like whatever that thing is. Whatever it is, I'm against it. I'll tell you that much. So I was thinking this morning when I was contemplating today's show, I knew there would be we'd be aboard an airplane live. That's what you're hearing in the background. It's an airplane. And, you know, we'll just live with the airplane sound. It's a very big airplane, and that's why you're hearing the echo. You know, close your eyes. Imagine heat pipe just went on for some reason, just banged again. I had the back window open. I guess the heat's going to come on. Of course, I had the window open in my bedroom, which I shouldn't. See, if I knew the heat was going to go on, I'd close the bedroom window and let that dry heat from the radiator kind of like bake that room, which would get all the humidity out of it. You see? But I'm doing a live show, so I can't go upstairs. So it's like...
We have discovered that the force surrounding a magnet is really an extension of mass. How shall I say it? Mass that extends into another dimension.
You know, that's before Star Wars, too. That's an old Twilight Zone thing. But, you know, he's right about that force. And I don't mean the force. You know, I'm talking about the force. A lot of people don't understand force as opposed to gravity, and magnetism, like even as opposed to gravity, and electromagnetism, you know, that concept of an electric universe and that kind of thing. Riders on the storm. See, it's a little bit too far away now. Into this house we're born. Father. Anyway, this is the end. So I was thinking of contemplating the show and saying, okay, what are you going to do? You're going to be on an airplane, big, huge transport. And people have already basically pegged you for being crazy. I mean, they don't want to deal with any of this stuff.
You're now in a different continuum than the world you're used to.
But see, that's what you are. You're just in a different continuum, and you can take your place where you belong. It all has to do with the consciousness thing I talk about, you know, and it's the idea of just, I don't know, being crazy in a sense of, crazy ideas. Because when you look around, and this is kind of what I was getting at. It's the everything is wrong, which I have no idea why the wrong is being hidden for some reason. I don't know. Like I say, it's been one of those couple of days. Yesterday I was supposed to have TGIF happy hours, but that, sudden poisoning illness, right? Just totally took me down for the count. 24 hours later. Well, it's not been. I think it hit me around, 10:30 or something like that, maybe. Illness. The frailty. It's like that Sting song, how fragile we are. And, I was talking a little bit yesterday about how you deal with this, all the madness that's going on in the world right now. You don't know what to believe. So a lot of people are afraid, scared to death. Some people are just in their own world, another world, ignoring everything about everything. Some people some people are like the accepting kind. What they call, they just march in lockstep. That they like that control. That they like things to be, laid out for them. Tell me what to do. Tell me how to live. Well, I don't mind being locked down. Okay, that's a command. Wash your hands, right? Do this, do that. There's a lot of people are like that. I mean, it's part of the whole indoctrination conditioning thing, but it's also the part of this, what I call the soulless millions. Basically, their bioelectric brains are basically all they have. So they're just, in effect, running on programming. It's like DNA programming. They're talking about now humans, DNA, whether it's human DNA or laboratory manufactured DNA. But the idea that of the unbelievable amount of, thousands of terabytes or even maybe more than that can be stored in these microscopic DNA type of things. Which it's so funny that when I was hearing, discussions on this, and people have been talking about this for a while, that they still refuse to come back to the idea that the human brain and the human body is a machine that is capable of going way beyond anything that has been created mechanically. And mechanically meaning, technocrats, right? Using any kind of technology whatsoever. But they keep trying to steal from the human, right? But they won't make that connection. See, they have to reproduce it independently. They want to reinvent the wheel. I mean, in the simplest way of doing it. And it's laughable. And I say this all the time, about the idea of savants and people with photographic memory. And, Total Recall, Da Vinci, Einstein, heck, even Copernicus and Newton, all of these people. I mean, Stephen Hawking. The guy was in a chair, unable to speak the better part of his adult life after college. And, he was still working out incredible ideas and theories about things. I mean, he didn't have everything right, but I mean, he was the mind. But they're still trying to create these supercomputers, and looking to human storage now as like we can emulate that, we can copy that, or maybe we could even utilize it. And I'm saying, well, you just stop for a second, put a mirror in your laboratory, and look at yourself. You are the machine. You are the answer. Consciousness is the answer, right? But I think a lot of these academics, I don't believe they have consciousness. So in effect, what they're doing is they're programming of their own biological brain, right? So I'm going to turn down this echo just a tad, if I can. Riders on the storm, riders into this house we're born. To this house we're born, and to this house we're born. There's no note like that in that song. So that didn't work. So the microphones. We have a very special guest coming up today. He'll be sitting in with us in just a short while. He'll be very surprised. I'm wondering if I'm going to get a copyright hit for this.
Who might listen to this record eventually. I would like to say that this is a very special night for me. And there have been a couple of special nights because...
Yeah. I don't know if the talk section of a track is like in their algorithm, It's hard to say. I think the only time that's been played apart from today on the air was back in the 90s on Tony Caravan Live, my lounge show, which was the longest running lounge show on the internet before any of this stuff was ever even conceived, or financed. I was doing it back then. But yeah, the answer is us. We're the answer. And we have the ability to cure ourselves. I believe we have longevity, the possibility of longevity. I believe that our subconscious has been so programmed, and I think we've been fed such, processed food and so many other things, who knows what, to keep us controlled, sick, and with short lifespans. Think about that statement. That this corporatocracy, organized crime syndrome, or organized crime syndicate has basically made us sick, shortened our lifespans. And what was the other thing? And dumbed us down, basically. Held back the knowledge, our inability to heal ourselves. So we're all being gradually, slowly poisoned to death. It probably starts with, from the beginning with baby formula and stuff. And there's nothing you can really do about it. I mean, what can you do? I mean, I thought I was eating fresh out of the garden. I had the salad yesterday, and somehow they got to me. Or something I ate. I don't know, but I healed. I mean, humans have the ability to heal themselves, I believe. I believe we have the ability to like regenerate. I mean, we do that. It's just that we don't do it as well. And as we age, because our lifespans have been shortened, you know, the older we get, you know, and there's all that talk about telomeres, you know, how the cells do this, that, the other. But that I think we all have the potential to be supercomputers, to regenerate our bodies, and to live very long lifespans, minimum of which is 120 years, and 120 years healthy, all right, not frail. But that we probably have the ability to live at least 1,000 years, maybe 600 to 1,000 years. But you have to understand, if you're the organized crime syndicate, if you're the Davos set, you're the World Economic Forum, the self-proclaimed rulers of the world, masters of the universe, you know, in their mind, that's what they are. And we're now approaching 8 billion people on the planet. Well, their numbers are very small. And so how do you rule over 8 billion people on the planet? Or worse, once it gets to 10, 16 billion. And everybody wants to share in, you know, in the latest technologies, you know. In other words, wants to have food, heat, you know, the basics of life. They don't want dirt roads, they want paved roads. Right? They don't want a thatched roof house. They don't want ghettos. They want home. They don't care if it's a simple home, simple dome home, right? Small house. But they want something nice, clean, a road, right? And something and an ability to exercise their innate desire to be creative person. Not a worker, not a wage slave, but a creative person. See, I'm under the belief that creativity exists within everyone. And that we see certain people and we call them an artist, right? He's an artiste, right? But the reality is, it's just, we're all creative. We all have the potential to be creative. It's how we're programmed, how we're indoctrinated, how we're conditioned. You know, where we're born, how we're raised, what we're fed, the nutrition in our diets, the water we drink, the household we're brought up in, the schools we attend, if we are able to attend a school. All right? And, you know, we've been so screwed over by what you know, what they still call politicians, but I call the corporatocracy. It was really weird, you know, because like big pharma, big tech, you know, the financial industry, Wall Street, you know, military contractors, you know, all these people have done is they've become government. They become big government. You know, it's like you pay twice for everything now, is what I say. It's like there's a reason I'm wearing this cap today. You know, at one time, you know, we were cattle on a tax farm. You know, that's how they had it set up when they established governments. And then we became cattle on a tax/consumer farm as the corporatocracy started to gain power. And what happened was, at some point, the corporatocracy overtook what we call government. But government still remained, and taxes still remained, but those taxes were channeled into the corporatocracy. And so, in effect, the taxes helped the corporatocracy even to gain more power till it completely overtook government. And it's like I always say, even in a small city environment, you know, you have things like, at one time you paid taxes, city taxes, borough taxes, township taxes, whatever the heck it was. And with those taxes, you've got things like, you know, it was your house, you had water, sewer, garbage pickup, you know, that kind of thing. You know, the basic services. That's what your taxes went to. City services. Okay? And then they decided, we're going to sell the water and sewer authority to a private firm, basically the corporatocracy. We're going to sell the garbage collection, the trash thing, to private companies. You know, in most parts of the country, it was the corporatocracy. Places like New York and New Jersey, it was the mob. But the idea is that you still paid taxes, but the government was no longer providing services. And the services they did provide were very poor services. It's like where I am now. You know, it'll snow, and by the time they get around to plow the roads, you know, you're already snowed in. You know, the sidewalks, there's no enforcement of any kind of, you know, I walk to a mile or so to a grocery store in the wintertime, even with like hiking boots on and stuff like that. It's virtually impassable. And you take your life in your hand. Because under the snow, there's ice and stuff. Doesn't matter. You almost need to have like ski poles with you, you know. But then, you know, there are breaks in the snow in certain areas, or people shovel their walks, so you'd ruin your skis. But literally, you almost need to cross-country ski to get to the store. But you can't because you'd ruin your skis. So they don't do that. You know, they don't clean up the cities. You know, just the good neighborhoods where the corporatocracy people live. And so your taxes, you know, they still charge taxes, but the taxes don't go to helping anyone, you know, which is what it's supposed to be. It's like these people that hate Social Security, and different things like that, you know, payroll deductions. Okay. I mean, yeah, it'd be great if they had some better system, if the world was a better place, and if you could live in freedom, and, you know, we didn't warehouse our senior citizens and abandon and put our children to be raised by the nanny state right after maternity leave, all for the sake of wage slavery or some job or ambition. You know, maybe you could, you wouldn't have to have Social Security retirement fund or Medicare, Medicaid, whatever. Or even welfare for that matter. You know, because like I've said a long time ago, and I've said it recently too. You know, if you went into a place like, you know, because sometimes people, they hold up certain places in this country as examples. You know, like inner city Baltimore, and they'll show these like really horrible neighborhoods. You know, some streets where there's just all the houses are abandoned, or there's some squatters in there, or they're crack houses or whatever like that. You know, or there's just people living there under, you know, ridiculously terrible conditions. And they'll show the homeless all over the country in major markets. And all that, and this is the thing, the inner city. These are the people that need to be helped. And especially every election year or the year leading up to election year. And it's like one big election year anymore. Have you noticed that? It's like the primaries now become like election year. So you've got every 2 years you have congressional elections. So it's like nonstop politics. And that's why I say politics has become pop culture. And they always talk about, injustice, right? And how certain people are treated worse than others. But the reality is, it's not true. It's not a matter of race, creed, color, religion. Right? It's a matter of ignorance, and I mean ignoring people of all races, creed, color, and religion who live in the inner cities and who live in poverty. And it always becomes an election issue, and it's always on the news, and it's all they talk about, and it's become the politics of pop culture. And then you have the cult of personality of the people who are going to come and ride in on a white horse and save the day. Now, I'm older now, and I've watched this cyclically occur. Cycle after cycle, decade after decade. And I've watched administrations change from Democrat to Republican, Republican to Democrat, Democrat to Republican. But all I've seen, I don't see anybody going into those neighborhoods in Baltimore and remodeling them. In places like certain areas like New York or certain towns, they have this thing they call gentrification, which basically just pushes the poor out into the streets, or makes it unaffordable. That's not cleaning up a neighborhood. That's called gentrification. That's basically the ruling class, the elitists, coming in and saying, we're taking your land. What difference is that than feudalism? And the king coming in and saying, hey, you got married. Good, congratulations. I'm going to be the first one that gets your wife. My knights, grab that woman. Take her hither to my bed chambers. Right? And while you're here, I see harvest there. Grab the finest of their harvest. Put them in those sacks and bring that to the castle. That's what gentrification is. Now, there's people out there who are like, libertarians or, against helping, against the so-called safety net and things like that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about problem solving. Whenever I worked, and I've said this before many times, that is a belch. Remember, I'm allowed to do that because I'm on YouTube. This is the most unpopular vlog there is. You can't do that because you're out there in the real world, and if you do that, people are going to look down upon you. But I'm merely a player, and all the world's a stage for me. Beginning of the show was ridiculous,
Funky.
Delicious.
But
shut your damn cake off!
So
we have discovered that the force surrounding a magnet.
Channel check. Left channel.
Making up the rules as we go along.
Yeah, we'll play them until you get sick of them. But I want to introduce them to you before we put them in with the entire thingamabob. So all these politicians had to do, and they could have done this back in the 90s. All right. You had Bill Clinton. Instead, they like kind of made it harder to live for the poorest of the poor. A lot of people don't know that, you know. But anyway, why don't you just take those neighborhoods? Remember I said it before. Don't gentrify them. You don't build skyscrapers there. What you do is you clean them up and you put in community centers and things that the people who live in that area can use. And so that those places are theirs. And then they can have a somewhat normal life, a somewhat humble life. And yeah, you know, initially while you were doing it, you'd probably have to have a lot of beat cops and stuff around because, you know, the gang folks aren't going to like it. You know, and there's some people who are just generationally out of control because they've been allowed to run free like, you know, like loons, do whatever they want to, you know. But, you know, deep down inside, most people want to be happy and they want to have a decent life and a decent place to live. But nobody's ever done that. They haven't cleaned up the inner cities. They've either been gentrified, which means there's just expansion of the ruling, you know, the ruling elite, the elitists, right, have taking portions over and outpriced them. But they haven't gone in and cleaned up areas, though they still collect taxes. And they're willing to spend and throw money at everything. You know, they bailed out the banks, said it was important. They didn't have to. Bailed out the big bailout back in 2008. You know, they just spent, you know, a couple $1 trillion. You know, they either print the money or just create it in a cloud. But they will not do that. You know, they'll spend trillions of dollars over in the Middle East on some fake war, you know, that's killed our brothers in arms and mortally wounded, injured them. But they won't spend, you know, billions of dollars here to clean up neighborhoods. And this gets to the crux of the matter. See, a lot of people, when I say organized crime syndicate, they laugh at that. Or they like, nah, you know, yeah, some of those people are corrupt and, you know. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. It's an organized crime syndicate. And the gangs, like, do you know the number of people, gangs there are in this country and around the world? That's organized crime. An organized crime syndicate. Right? You know, they have territorial disputes, but the key word there is territories. You know, like I said, when I was in LA, you know, I was wearing a red shirt and I accidentally stumbled into a blue neighborhood. You know, Bloods and Crips at that point. And I had to literally take my shirt off. I told that story before. But I was going into a liquor store to buy like a 12-pack or something because I was at a party. We ran out of beer. And I went to get a couple of 2 12-packs or something into a place. And that place was apparently, right, was a Crips territory. And some dudes, I've said this before in another episode, but, you know, so few people listen to this. It was a true story. And some dude said, hey, man, you're wearing the wrong shirt in this neighborhood. And I knew exactly what he meant, so I quick took it off because it was a solid red shirt. I just had shorts on, jean shorts or something. Everything else was fine. So I took my shirt, crumbled it up, put it in my back pocket. And I get to the, the liquor store, bottle shop, whatever. And on the front door, it says no shoes, no shirt, no service. So I open the door, and the guy behind the counter looks at me, goes, "Hey, man, no shirt. You got to put shirt on, I said, "Look, man, the only shirt I have is red. All right? All I want is 2 12-packs or whatever I was there to get, and I'll get out of your way." And he knew exactly what I was talking about. He let me buy my 12-packs. I came out, and I went over to the guy who told me that thing, and he was hanging out with some other dude. I pulled 2 beers out of my the beer I bought. And I said, "Here, guys, thanks, man. Here, have a beer. You guys each have a beer." I got out of there. The average person doesn't know that. And I could have just been like, whistling Jack through that neighborhood, and I'd have gotten gunned down because I was wearing a red shirt, and they would have stepped right over me, walked down the street, and continued their conversation, and later on that night forgot that they even killed me. Wouldn't even be that's how insignificant. That's the gang mentality. That's the mindset. And that's the organized crime syndicate. It's just people wearing suits going to Davos and speaking at the World Economic Forum. People with coats and ties on. What the heck is a coat and tie? You ever think about that? Like who said that suddenly became this thing, other countries copied it from the US. All right. It's a very recent development. Cat using a litter box. So these people wearing these suits and ties, the business suit, the business uniform. You ever think about that? You see pictures of like the founding fathers, so to speak. And these guys had like long hair, right? And they were wearing these funky clothes. Kind of looked like hippies in the 60s, right? Those are the guys who basically laid down, created this country. Now the former United States. And I've even seen pictures of like Lincoln. I think I have it in one of my, I have a picture of Lincoln without his beard, a portrait of Lincoln. He's not wearing a business suit, right? And so somewhere along the line, they adopted this thing. Like, I don't know if it came from New England. That's an interesting thing to discover. Like, let's see. I doubt, I don't know. You never know. Let's see. New window, search. Who invented the business suit? Let's see what the heck is going on. Oh, Brummel. I knew that. Yeah, because I think history of the business. Yeah. Where did the business, at the beginning of the 9th century, men's style in England? Yeah, I knew England. Well-heeled gents, blah, blah, blah. But then Beau Brummel came along and invented the suits we all see today. Okay, so when did Beau Brummel... I hate when you have to dig down a mile. Anyway, let's get rid of that. I knew that. That was one of those things. Beau Brummel in the back of my mind, yeah. But anyway, so this thing's like a little over 100 some years old. And, and other countries didn't adopt it, but, like the Japanese, once they got defeated, they copied everything we did, right? Our entire culture. And so they dressed in suits. I can remember that. But, people in Africa still, have their own wear. I always tell the story about when I used to work down the shore one time, there was a guy in a corner selling dashikis. You don't know what a dashiki is. It's like this African thing you throw over top. It's really cool. I wish I had one right now. The guy was selling them for $5. I used to love that thing. It's like a one-piece thing that just frock with, African, what people consider African design. But it's a dashiki. If you understand African culture, real African culture, not African American, but African culture, you know what a dashiki is. I'd love to be wearing a dashiki right now. It's the same with I put on Hawaiian shirts and stuff like that. But these people in business suits, Beau Brummels, some band called the Beau Brummels. But they're Beau Brummels gentrifying neighborhoods, this corporatocracy masquerading as the government, pulling all the strings of what you call politicians, but they're just marionettes. And none of them over the past 30 or 40 years, they've all had the chance and they've all made the promises. They've even done it this past election. Have you seen any neighborhoods being cleaned up? Right? I mean, to throw money out to people, give some people on unemployment some extra money. What is that? All you're doing, that's like a Band-Aid on a wound, and you only gave them one Band-Aid. Right? I mean, people don't get that. And people, because they've got people so literally brainwashed. Their bioelectric brain, they're brainwashed. It's like, no, clean up the neighborhood, make life easier to live, make life more, more affordable, better, improve the quality of life for people. And that's not what's happening. Because when the money dries up, you still got this, trashed neighborhood and gangs, violence and crime. It's just that, people had some extra money to order takeout pizza, booze, overpriced cigarettes, and buy dope. Now the money dries out. Now what do? There's no jobs, right? Lockdown is like, for some people living in bad neighborhoods, that's a good thing. It's probably saved some lives, though it's, caused other people to commit suicide and get sicker. But in other areas, right? It's this idea, I have, it's one of my other sound effects on one of these things. Where is that one? I apologize for the unprofessional thing about this, but then again, like I said, it's kind of the whole thing. It's me.
This is Metropolitan Police speaking. Metropolitan Police speaking. All persons are warned to stay off the streets. All persons are warned to stay off the streets.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
So yeah, that's what they want. They want people off the streets. That's really what's happening.
Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
I don't get that angry anymore. I'm more just
I am your main connection to the switchboard of souls. I'm the magic man.
But you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about.
Funky.
They don't care about us. They don't care about you. And I can talk this way because I live in the poverty line and I live in one of those neighborhoods. quote, those neighborhoods. And believe me, they don't care about us. The mask thing, the people around here, when I went up to the bar yesterday, nobody was wearing a mask. I went into the convenience store. Nobody's wearing a mask. The supermarket, people working in the supermarket aren't wearing their masks. What happens is if they see somebody who's like paranoid with a mask, like people will have it like draped on them or something, and they'll put it on because they don't want to avoid a scene type of thing. But it's like everyone looks at the other one, and it's like, if you're not wearing, I'm not wearing. Because there's no enforcement in neighborhoods like this. See, there's no mask police. That's what they do. Like I say, I live below the poverty line. And that's one of the reasons. So it's a lot freer here in that regard. People are just fed up with it, and they said, hell with it. It's true. And I'm sure this isn't the only place. And this is a strict area. I mean geographical area. But I'm saying these types of neighborhoods, people around here are like, heck with that. And people around here are completely colorblind. There's no racism where I live. I'm the minority here. Like the super minority. But nobody bothers me, and everybody's nice, and everybody says hi, hello. It's a complete opposite of the image they project on TV about the way people are. And if you know what I'm talking about, if you're black, Asian, or white, living in in the real world, what's going on. That stuff they say on TV isn't true, right? I mean, there's probably some yahoos out there in the woods, like I've said before, with guns, shooting bottles out in the backwoods, who are, using various words that would trigger people. But the point is, and those people keep to themselves. I mean, the fact of the matter is this country's been long over that stuff. It's only the media and entertainment industry and the politicians that like keep it alive, and then they foment it. And then when they find an example of some kind of aberration, because it happens, what are you going to do? You got 320 million people. You're going to have some event. But I mean, we're talking 320 million. Do you understand? 320 fucking million people. And some dude gets strangled or somebody gets shot or whatever. Well, there's 20,000 homicides in the U.S. every year. So they picked, look, hey, we found one. Let's make that. We'll make him the poster boy of this, and we'll do this, and we'll milk this for a year and a half. And that'll get other people all riled up because we'll just keep pounding it in on the media every day. See, there's this racism, there's this color thing, there's this thing. And people in my neighborhood, even though they're seeing that, if they do see it, they're like, what? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? See, I'm under the belief that most people are basically who are literally living in the real world. They're ones that aren't so psychotically brainwashed by the media and politicians, that the average person is basically looking at what's going on right now and is like going, what? The fuck are you talking about? You know, all we want to do is do what we do. Whatever our thing is, right? And the politicians really don't get that. And it's almost like, you know, it's like in that Humphrey Bogart movie, Casablanca, you know, round up the usual suspects, right? It's like, you've ever watched when, you know, when they used to show these, there would be some kind of protest somewhere, you know, at some event, and the media would almost publicize it in advance. It was going to happen at some place. And then there would inevitably be a clash because, you know, there's these agent provocateurs that ultimately get involved in these things. But it was like the same guys and girls or whatever, you know, and they'd bust these people in and be like, you know, and the same kind of signs. And sometimes they would have like pre-printed signs. And my thing is like, who, you know, because I'm a graphic design person and stuff and printing background. I'm like, who designed and printed those things and then distributed them? And how'd they have them in like, you know, Seattle, but they also had them in like, you know, New Mexico and, you know, somewhere in Jersey and on the streets of New York City. You know, how'd they get there? Like, all get there on the same day magically, you know? Right? People don't think about stuff like that. But the idea was the same people, and they bust them around, they do this stuff, whatever, and people watch it. And I guess if it's just pounded into you day after day, and the poor kids, of course, the kids, you know, they don't, you know, they're scared. They think it's real because that's all they see, you know. But the reality is, deep down inside, the average person just wants to live their life and be happy. You know, people want different things, but they want to be free, right? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's all they want. Not everybody wants the same thing. Some people want to work jobs, right? You know, certain jobs. Other people don't. Other people want it, like I say. You know, they just want to make their living doing creative things, crafts. A lot of people want to be tradesmen, but they're afraid to, or they can't get, you know, they can't make enough money doing that. Excuse me. This is the show. Sorry.
Making up the rules as we go along. Delicious.
So that's the problem with society, and it's not going to change. I should say it's not the problem, it's the reality. So it doesn't really matter. You know, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter. You know, you have to survive. You have to take care of yourself. I mean, you have to find a sense of community if you can. If you can't find community, it's difficult. You know, I mean, I know myself. See, I don't have, where I live, across the street is a building. There's like 2 units there. There was a couple that lived in one half, you know, it's like half of a double, you know what I'm talking about? And that couple left like a couple of years ago. I mean, they were here when I moved. And on the other half of that double was this guy who like had like his own air conditioning repair business. But I saw them take him away in an ambulance. He never came back. I think he, you know, and when they took him, he was like, was half the man he used to be. He used to be this tall, big guy, you know, whatever. So that building's been empty for like 2 years. Then next to that is this beautiful brick apartment building that has like 4 nice big units and a front parking lot and a big open grass area next to it.
there's a for rent sign on like the unit. There's nobody in there. When I moved here, every unit had people in it. But next to that is some old man, very old man in some yellow house up the street. I don't know. I think I got a glimpse of him once, but I don't think he leaves the house. Going down the other side is this hardware store. Doesn't do much business, but they sell paints and fix plumbing. They take care of my furnace and stuff. On my side of the street, behind me is a doctor's office, and they hardly have any offices. I go there to get blood work and like checkup. It's right next door to me. On the other side is an older lady who's like, she's lost her rocker. So it's like, I tried to befriend her at one point, but she was not just a gossip, busybody, whatever, but she was a loon, like just off a rocker. So I just started to avoid her. She was just too literally crazy. And then on the corner, there's a couple of black guys have this house. They bought for $20,000, man. It was like a brand new roof. It's like I don't know, 3 or 4 bedroom house and stuff. It's a neat place. But they keep to themselves. I don't know what they're up to. I don't know what they do. I'm not saying they're up to something. And then across the street further, there used to be a psychiatrist office. It's a nice building, but he died. Right? And going up the street, it's like, so I don't have it's not like I have neighbors that I could talk to or have a sense of community with. There's some guy in a back alley they talk to every now and then, but he seems to be in his own world. I don't know what his story is. So if you're like me, sometimes it's not easy to have community. It's easy. In some places you can have community. So I really don't have any friends here. Well, it's not for lack of trying. It's just like you can't. I mean, I go up to the bar to buy a 12-pack, and it's owned by an 80-year-old guy who's a nice guy. When I do go in there to buy my thing, I usually stand and talk to him for a little while. And we have the same mindset because he thinks all this stuff is crazy. Everybody thinks the world's gone crazy. You notice that when you talk to people. I mean, unless they're crazy. But the thing is, I'm not going to go up there and drink. He opens at 7 o'clock in the morning. I think it's the type of bar for people who are on like the third shift or whatever you call it. Because there's always like some people in there come in early in the morning. And that's when I go up to buy my beer because it's great. He opens at 7. I mean, sometimes I go in, it's just him. But at least I can get it out of the way. I like doing things early in the morning. It's like I have one prescription that I take. And the pharmacy doesn't open. It's in a grocery store. It's like down a mile down. And they don't open till 9 o'clock. I don't like that. I like to go. The store opens at 7. I like to do things early. And I like the winter time. When it's 7 o'clock, it's dark. That kind of thing. I don't like, it's just the way I am. But I have to bite the bullet today and go down there because I have to get that prescription. So, but if you're like me, that it's tough, it's difficult. So you need to find something to do. And my family doesn't live near me, so that's like a whole different thing. So, I don't know what to say about that. You have to really do some soul searching and figure it out. That's why I do this thing and I get, upset when they mess with my videos and stuff, because all I'm trying to do is communicate, talk to people, and share my ideas, because I don't really have people to talk to. I have a couple people I talk to on the phone or something, but I mean, I really don't. And so, this is an unpopular vlog probably because it's, like I've said before, it's brutally honest. And it's weird and it's unorganized. I mean, look at the first 15 minutes of this. I was like out of control trying to fix this and do that. And then I do all these goofy things,
Hey, buddy, how's it going?
It's going pretty good, man. Pretty good. The best it can go,
You're now in a different continuum than the world you're used to.
But it is a different continuum. But it's mine, Like I say, I spend about 5 hours of my day doing this. I do this every day. It's, an hour prep almost. And when I say prep, I don't mean like prep words, because this is just like, I didn't even know what I was going to talk about. But I mean, it's an hour prep, like if I'm making the title card, getting my mug ready, getting my drinks ready, setting up the microphones, right? Getting the on-air light, doing all that stuff, having I had a bowl of cereal before I started today, getting all the computers on, set up. Then I do the show. It lasts 2 hours. I take a break, I feed the birds out in the backyard. And then I go upstairs and I watch the playback for 2 hours and enjoy it because I'm curious. Like today, especially, I'm curious the sound, and I want to see how wacky the beginning was. If I really was such a, absolute idiot, which I think I was.
Channel check. Left channel. Left channel.
So
this calls for some big scratching.
So anyway, that's my life. So it's difficult. You got to find a thing to do. Of course, I garden. So I have a garden. But my garden is like, I've gotten semi-good at it, even though every year I doubt myself. But unless the crows and the chipmunks cause problems, I've got a great garden growing right now. I mean, I guess I'll go out there the next sunny day. Doesn't look like we're going to have, a nice sunny day at all. Where's my weather thing? Let's look. Today's supposed to be like just pretty much cloudy and hot, 82. Tomorrow it says chance of thunder, 70% chance of a thunderstorm. But it shows like the sun peeking through the clouds. So that means I might be able to go out for a little bit and like mess with my tomato plants, take off some of those, whatever they call them, things that help them. Don't waste growth on leaves, but focus the attention and the energy on producing fruit, and just check for things like that. But I almost don't even really have a lot of a weed problem because I cover my beds with thick cardboard from the fall to the spring, and eventually the weeds just die out. The roots that are under there just die out. And then every year, and I still have some room, I always fill in, I've added fresh dirt this year, like fairly thick amount, at least that much. And so unless, except for some like invasive plants, like I have spearmint and mint, which are, they've got their roots way underneath the ground. They cause a problem. They're causing a problem with one of my potato. I have two potato patches, so to speak, and one of those patches is looking pretty weak. And I had been pulling out. I had noticed that there were mint plants that were growing in among those potatoes, and my other potato patches already have flowers on them, and those flowers correspond with potatoes. There's no flowers on this one patch. So I think there must be a network of mint roots under there that are somehow causing some problem. But, apart from some things like that, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed for squash. I planted zucchini and yellow squash this year. I'm hoping last year those plants just died out on me. So I'm hoping this year I'm going to get that. But I mean, there's plenty of lettuce and all that stuff. I'm kind of scared of lettuce after that salad I had yesterday, but I don't think it was the lettuce. I think it was something else. I did have some salmon. I gave the salmon juice to the cat. It didn't get sick. But then again, cats can eat just about anything, They leave sometimes they leave their food out overnight. Then eat it, in the middle of the night or something. So it's that whatever stomach acids or whatever breakdown they have, like in alley cats, they eat stuff out of dumpsters and stuff. So it's not, bad. What's bad for a human isn't necessarily bad for a cat. But I kind of hoping that's what it was. Otherwise, I've got to go through this process of washing. I have a lot of lettuce, and I was going to just start eating salads. I was trying to lose weight. I did lose about 5 pounds, but I wanted to lose like 25 over the summer. And so I thought, well, hell, I'm growing. I got more lettuce than a grocery store growing back there. But I'm going to have to go. It's like everything else when you live alone and when you do stuff like this, it's a process. So I'm going to have to put it and clean it, wash it, be very cautious about it, do the salad spinning thing and stuff, and add like vinegar to it and rinse it so it doesn't taste too vinegary. I hate that. It's like you want, if I want to, you have a garden, a fresh garden. I don't know what. I mean, I don't even know if I have to, but if you were as sick as I was yesterday, man, I thought I was dying. I was sick. It's definitely like food poisoning. I mean, I'd like to just go out to a garden and just grab a couple of green leaves, rinse them off with some water, put it on a sandwich, slice of cheese or something, just have a quick meal. Instead of all this prep. Like I say, when you're one person, prep becomes a pain. It's like, I like tasty food, and I'm like a gourmet. I like to cook stuff and do all that stuff. But when you're just one guy, and then you end, and you do this, and then you end up with all this stuff, and then it's like you don't want to throw it away. I was saying this the other day. You end up eating, you get leftovers, you eat it, and you overeat. You eat too much stuff because you don't want to throw away good food. It's like right now, today I'm going to literally throw away a lot of food because I don't know what it was, and there was about 10 ingredients I put in that salad, and they're all fresh things, and they're all in my refrigerator. So that's another reason why I'm going to the grocery store, besides picking up the prescription from their pharmacy. Because I'm literally going to throw away about 10 things in my refrigerator. Because I don't know which one was the one that made me sick. If it even was. Maybe the powers that be got me for telling the truth about the organized crime syndicate. Paranoid? Oh, wow. Paranoid? Who's paranoid? Peas popping. Yeah. See, this needs a pop screen on there. See, this has a pop screen. I have a thing. I have one of those things that I could put on that microphone. Well, anyway, I'm going to figure this out after I watch the playback, like how good or bad it is, and see if I can tweak this system. I don't know.
that karaoke thing I bought. Some people call it karaoke. How do you get karaoke from something that's spelled like that? Do people call it karaoke where you are? It's karaoke night. Carry. Where's the E? Where's the I or E? Right? Or Y? It's karaoke. Right? But anyway, nice packaging. But it's a piece of crap. I don't mind saying that. And of course, you know, not that made in China. So I don't know. I'm hoping that my stomach is good. I'm going to buy some fresh food. Like, you know, something from the deli. Hopefully down there, they're not, you know, I don't trust stuff that I buy at the store sometimes either. You know, like prepared foods. Because you don't know how clean those people are. Right? It's like what, you know, I sound like, you know, and I'm not a paranoid person, but if you were as sick as I was yesterday, you'd understand exactly what I'm saying. But yeah, you know, and you know how expensive that stuff is. I don't like to waste money on, you know, on packaged or prepared foods. You know, that's for the ruling elite, the wealthy, especially when I got a garden growing in my backyard. But, you know, these are minor problems compared to other people. So, you know, I'm just venting. Doesn't really matter. I'll figure it out. Life's not that bad, right? Compared to somebody living in those inner city areas and stuff that these politicians are lying about, and they could easily fix them up if they wanted to. But they don't, and they keep promising every year or 2 years or 4 years. And I just don't understand how people watch the media, listen to these speeches, or are on social media back and forth with all this stuff, and they never see those neighborhoods being cleaned up, and why they keep voting and playing this game, right? You know, when I had jobs, you know, since I'm retired now, living at the poverty level, but whenever I had jobs, I always donated money to people who were trying to do things to improve, you know, to improve things. You know, at one point I gave money to the ACLU like 15 years ago, till I saw they basically don't care about, you know, civil liberties anymore. I donated money to like Democracy Now, like Amy Goodman, till I realized she just went off the deep end. You know, protest for protests and support any cause for cause's sake. But the cause is you know, see, I'm so much against protesting. Any kind of protest is an exercise in futility. Just do something. Instead of saying you're going to have a rally, why not get, you know, 250 or 500 people show up like that one guy did in Baltimore that time. He at least had a couple dozen people show up. And they actually went in and cleaned up one of those streets or one of those neighborhoods. You know, literally brought in trash bags and got a dumpster set up there. And people were literally with the gloves on and picking up trash, putting them in trash bags. You know, those big black trash bags, throwing them into the dumpsters, sweeping up and cleaning.
Why don't, instead of going out, we want this with a sign, we need this, we need that, injustice, we want to be treated fair. Why don't you just do what you're saying? I mean, it's that simple. There's so many things that I can, even in my own neighborhood, like there's this bridge because there's a train close to the grocery store, and I walk, and there's pigeons get underneath this bridge that's like right before you get to the grocery store. And the pigeons, obviously, there's pigeon dung all over the sidewalk. And sometimes it's so thick, you can't even, you hope for rain and stuff like that. There's been a sweeping rain, windy rain or something, that because nobody ever cleans it up. And I've complained about it, and I have a little Twitter account that I've made for this area, for this like little neighborhood. And I take pictures of some of these things sometimes. And there's some people following, but not a lot, but maybe 100 some. And they'll like when I make these comments about this stuff, but nothing ever gets done. But it's like, why don't they sweep that up? Keep that clean and sanitary. Even if it was just once a week. Go in there. Like it's, in other words, they ignore the poor, is what I'm trying to say. Is it's easy for people to protest, right? But if the people who are out there with like picket signs, why don't you organize a team of people, go to the pressure the supermarket to give you like a jug of Clorox, right? And two sweep brooms, and one and a bucket or something so you can dilute it. You're already wearing a face mask, so you don't have to worry about the fumes. And once a week, send a couple people in there, and instead of protesting something, why don't you just like sweep up that thing? People won't do that. The city won't do that. The politicians won't do that. People will, but down in that area, all around there, is like an area where they post signs when all these people are running for city council and all these little offices, magistrate, controller, all these weird bureaucratic jobs they have. They get paid good money for. They just sit in an office with the coat and tie on, the business suit, the Beau Brummel. It's like, why don't you clean up that? I mean, imagine that. It's like pigeon dung. Yeah, it's crazy. So it's like, then that's just my neighborhood. That's just one thing. And I told you about the snow. They never clean up the snow. And then when they do send the plows up, if you shovel, like I'll shovel my sidewalk. Well, because they're so late, when they like want to see if the snow will, like, the cars can get by, and they wait and they delay. And so by the time they eventually come around and plow, what they do is they plow the street so close, and they have the plows angled towards your sidewalk. So you spend all this time shoveling your sidewalk to get it clean, and they basically force all the snow from the street and cover your sidewalk. And that's usually like thick, icy, cubey type of stuff that's like, like I said, I had an operation. I'm not supposed to, I had cancer operation and kidney operation. And I'm not supposed to lift more than like 25 some pounds or something like that. I can't go out there and be like shoveling, big, thick, ice, heavy type stuff. And I told you before, there's up the street's an old man. Well, even next door, even though the lady's like off her rocker, but she's an old lady who has like about three or four stents in her heart or something. So they don't care, you see? And this isn't like Baltimore neighborhood. This is what you would semi-decent neighborhood, even though it's a poor neighborhood, the common man. It's a poor neighborhood. It's a poverty neighborhood. But it's not the problem that we don't get along. It's a problem that the lying politicians, corporatocracy, and this organized crime syndicate has got everybody brainwashed. We have a local television station. They don't care. They won't cover that. And these small things are big things to the average person. That's the thing. Problem with elitists is that they don't understand the things that are important to the poor or the elderly or the infirmed, because they don't have those problems, and their relatives don't have those problems because they have money they're taking care of. So the elitists who are making these big salaries on TV stations and the politicians who are making big salaries as bureaucrats, see, they don't understand, the problem with a person who doesn't drive needs to walk on that sidewalk and it's a sheet of ice, and they need to walk on the sidewalk to get their prescription, or they need to walk to the sidewalk to get their food, go to the store and buy their food so they have food to eat. See, that doesn't occur to them. They don't understand that, people don't want to walk over pigeon dung and have that on the bottom of their shoes, right? And have that somehow come into their house, and who knows what kind of disease you would bring in. And the way that bridge is, you can't walk in the street because it's like a weird thing. It like dips down because a train goes over. And so the bridge is here, but the street level's lower. So you can't walk in the street because you get run over by a truck. The sidewalk is where the dung is. That's like part of the raised part area. Those are just two examples. Like I say, they've been trying to fix the sewage system out in front of my place. And they don't know what the hell they're doing. They get the street so messed up that these trucks come barrel-assing down here and my house is shaking. And I've got to fix concrete steps are cracked and stuff because of them. And what am I going to do? Go to a lawyer? Spend money? Try to sue them? Try to sue some multi-million-dollar authority? Right? Because the average person doesn't understand. When they call it the Water and Sewer Authority, they think, oh, that's the city, right? So that's the government, the authority, Water and Sewer Authority. No, it's a private corporation. Multi-million-dollar corporation. I don't know what the heck's going on there. It's crazy. So, the real things that affect people who are stuck in your house, under the lockdown, people who can't breathe with those masks on, but that their doctor won't give them, that they can't really get to their doctor, or their doctor doesn't care. I was wearing the N95 masks for a while. Somebody gave me a box of them. A friend of mine somehow got them. And so I tried wearing those. I couldn't breathe. So now I wear a bandana, which is useless, really. And I'm sure I couldn't breathe out of the N95, so I'm sure that thing actually worked. But I couldn't get air in or out. I was like suffocating. But all my doctor was saying was, hey, you need to get this. Yeah. So it's like they don't understand the little things, the things that are important to the common man. They don't understand wage. These people, we need $15 an hour wages and stuff like that. But they don't understand that that's going to unemploy more people than it's going to employ. Right? It's already happening. People are laying off. People are paying the $15 an hour, but they're doing that by laying off on other workers. So instead of having, small businesses, instead of having 3 waitresses on in the coffee shop or donut shop, they've got 2. They have to get rid of one because they got, because their budget. People don't understand what it's like. I've had small businesses and stuff like that. I've been involved in big businesses and small businesses over the years. And you have a budget. You got to pay your expenses. People don't know that. And and especially employees and state taxes. And it's all this accounting you have to do. You have license fees. You're spending, your utility bills are higher because you're a business. You pay more for everything. Your taxes are higher because you're a business. When I had that building that guy ruined, the taxes on that were $3,000 a year. Over $3,000 a year. And I had to have insurance, this extra flood insurance or something. There was some other kind of insurance, was an extra $800 a year or $1,000 a year. Your business insurance was higher, and all this stuff. And so people look at it, they just watch the news. Yeah, $15 an hour, it's a great idea. Right? And it's like, you don't understand. A lot of these people are just getting by. At one time when I had a small business like that where we were doing retail, we were kind of living out of it was me and someone else, and we were kind of living out of the register. That was our income. We didn't have, we weren't taking salaries out of the business. So if we had a good day, we were able to, priority was paying the bills to keep the business open. But whatever was left, or if we had a good day, then okay, hey, then we can maybe have a happy hour, or hey, we can maybe order something, order a pizza, or get that thing, or do something. But if we had a bad day, it was like, okay, just sit around, watch TV, drinking a glass of water. People don't understand small businesses at all and that kind of stuff. See, the idea isn't so much, I'm all for $15 an hour. Heck, I wouldn't care if they gave $30 an hour. But that's not the issue. If that was doable, you have to lower the taxes on the businesses or lower the expenses of the utilities so that they could that they could compensate. But they don't. See, it's the corporatocracy. They just want, right? It's this organized crime syndicate. Just give us more. And they don't care if they go out of business because that's their ultimate goal, because they just want everybody to just order stuff online from Amazon or Instacart or Walmart. In a lot of places now, Walmart delivers. They deliver. They have this, but everywhere they have this pickup thing now. You just order online and it's ready and someone brings it out to the car. I've got this thing here where they deliver to your door. The problem is, the places around here don't accept this EBT thing that I have. I get some food assistance. And so I don't want to pay my cash that I got to pay my $105 a month water and sewer bill with. So can't waste cash on food, on certain things that I have a benefit from. Now, they don't understand how people really live and how businesses work. And if the idea is that they keep raising, so, you raise the salary, that's fine. Well, then lower the rent. You raise the salary, lower the utilities. My internet, it's like almost $100 a month. That's why I get angry sometimes when I, see, I know I have high speed internet and all that stuff, but I get angry when I see, the spinning thing or something. I'm paying you $100 a month. What the heck are you guys doing? It's the year 2021. Yeah, it's really weird. So it's a total disconnect from what you call politicians, I call the corporatocracy, and the organized crime syndicate that's like on top of, overseeing the whole thing, pulling all the strings. And it's like, I agree with most of the things that these so-called protesters and stuff and these issues of the day. Of course, anybody with, empathy, compassion cares about that. But the problem is, I don't like that they're lying to people and and they're hypocrites and they don't do what they say they're doing. And so we're in the middle of what they're calling hyperinflation right now. And you know this, but they're hiding it from you. Price of gas has gone up, right? Price of utilities is going up, right? The price of food has gone way up. Everybody knows, you may not need lumber or anything like that. The price of lumber is sky high, right? Everything's going up. The prices of everything are going up. And their answer is what? To give some low-wage workers $15 an hour? Well, all that's going to do is unemploy more potential low-wage workers, because these companies are just putting in using outside delivery services, putting in these kiosks where people can just punch in what they want and slide it with the card, right? Order online, get it delivered, that kind of thing. And someone's saying, well, there's more delivery jobs. No, it doesn't work that way. They're using robotics to restock the shelves in the warehouses. It's like they're using machines to flip the burgers. They're making pizzas with these machines that the thing just plops through and comes out the other end. I know, I have a friend who has a pizza joint. Nah. It's like, if they're going to do a thing, then do a thing, but make it really help somebody. If you want to help the poor and impoverished, if you want to improve the lives of people in inner cities and poor neighborhoods, then clean up those neighborhoods. Don't just like temporarily throw some cash at somebody that they're going to end up spending on food or something else just to get by because they're struggling to begin with. Spend that one-time effort and clean it up. And I'm not talking about projects, because everyone knows that the whole project thing was a abject failure. They just became, slums and places for gangs to rule over. No. Clean up regular neighborhoods, not gentrification. Clean up poor neighborhoods and for the poor people who live there. Give them a quality of life and they'll have pride in their neighborhood. There's always going to be some slob and some hoarder or some crazy person. That's life, right? Just like there's always going to be some psychopath out there. There's 20,000 homicides a year. So you're going to have some person, get killed in some injustice and something like that, or some event and some crazy person, go wacko. When you have 320 million people in a country, that's just the law of probability and statistics. Well, you don't just keep reporting the news and keep replaying this story and getting people all riled up like as if this is some, crazy, this is like some wild event and the world's gone mad in that sense. No, you put it in perspective and say, well, this is a very bad thing and let's solve that problem. But look at it in perspective. There's 20,000 of these homicides a year. So let's not get crazy and start hating each other and pitting people against other people, and distorting it, and which ultimately just like messes with the minds of children and weak-minded adults. And they end up believing that there's like some kind of, racial wars going on or something, when they aren't. The civil rights movement ended 50 years ago. Come on, man. As, Joey Boy says. Anyway, I guess I've babbled a little bit too long. So it's time for me to put this thing to bed. Good morning. That was loud in my ears. I don't know if it was loud in yours. Anyway, take care. This was a test show. I'll probably it's going to be on YouTube. Hopefully it plays back well. But I want to hear what the audio's like. And if it's messed up, I'll fix it for tomorrow. All the best. Cheers.